Hello, my dear students. In today's lesson, we are going to focus on perfect tenses. And as you know, the perfect tenses in English are present perfect, past perfect, and future perfect. We are going to review their forms, their uses in correlation to other tenses, and of course, we are going to analyze some examples and exercising further these tenses. Let us move to the text, which talks about this man's experience, and let me read for you the second paragraph. I've never been on television, but I've been on the radio once. It was a program about life in the military about 20 years ago. I met the Prime Minister on the same day. Actually, I've met a lot of famous people, members of the royal family, famous politicians, and famous cinema and television personalities. I've never met the American president though, which is a pity. As you see, as you notice, I have written into different colors all the verbs which are into present perfect tense, and this man is talking to us about his interesting life. Let us move on to the uses one by one to present perfect tense. The first use of present perfect tense is for actions that started in the past and continue to the present, so we understand from the sentence itself that it still continues. The first sentence is, I have been an English teacher for 14 years. We understand from the tense verb that she still teaches English and she has never stopped. Second sentence is, technology has done more good than harm. It means that it's still doing good in the present time. Another use of present perfect tense is for single or repeated actions in the past, but we don't know the date of the action, or it is not important in the context we are talking. In the first sentence, I've driven an automatic car before. The speaker is not interested in telling us the exact date when she has driven an automatic car, or perhaps she doesn't remember the exact date. The second sentence also, I've been to the theater many times, talks about his or her experiences on going to the theater. And the other use of present perfect is for one or more completed actions in a time period that is still continuing. In the example, he has sold 15 cars this month. It means that this month is still continuing. So it is a period which continues till next month. And let us review now the form of present perfect, and I hope that all of you remember how it is formed. It is formed with the subject, have, has, so the present simple of the auxiliary verb have, and the past participle of the verb. As in the examples, I have known him since 2009. It has rained all day. You see here the first example is with a irregular past participle, and the second one with a regular one, so ed form. Now let us move to the uses of just, already, and yet. I hope you remember, just and already are used in between the auxiliary verb and the past participle of the tense. And as you see, they are used into affirmative sentences, while yet is used in the end of the sentence, and of course into negative and question sentences. Let us review now the uses of since and for with present perfect tense. And as you know, since is a precise moment in time, which means from a point into the past until now. As you see in the screen, the example, since last Tuesday, since 2 o'clock, since 1990, and so on. And for means a period of time or a duration of time, like the examples, for 20 years, for a year, for a long time, and so on. And now you have here an exercise which you have I have written for you 10 sentences, and you have to put the verbs into brackets into present perfect tense. Now let's move to the next perfect tense, which is past perfect tense. And if you pay attention to the named tenses, you understand clearly that you have something into past and perfect. So it means past, the auxiliary verb has to be into past tense, and perfect, the past participle form. The example, she had cleaned the room when I got home yesterday. Let us move to the uses of past perfect tense. First use is to show that something happened before another action in the past. So as you see clearly into the example, the meeting had already started by the time I arrived. You have here two past actions, which are the first one, or the earliest one, is had started, and the second action into the past is I arrived. So the first action is used into past perfect, and the second one into past simple. Another use of, now you have another example. When we arrived, the film had already started. As you notice, had started is the first action into the past, and arrived is the second one into past simple tense. Another example, it had snowed in the night, so the bus didn't arrive. Now let us move to another use of past perfect, which is something that started in the past and continued up to another action or time in the past. Look attentively to the example. When he graduated, he had been in London for 6 years. So in here we have an action which started in the past, had been, but it still continues when he graduated in this university in London. And now here you have the review of the form of past perfect, which is subject plus had, or we can say with the past simple of the auxiliary verb have plus the past participle. It started raining after Peter had washed his car. When we reached the campsite, we realized that we had forgotten our tent. Look attentively at the sentences. For example, here we have a first action into the past, had forgotten, and the second is that I realized it. And now let's move on to an exercise for you, in which you have to complete the sentences using the correct tenses. Tenses can be into past simple or past perfect. Pay attention to the words given and try to remember what we talked before. And the third perfect tense is future perfect tense. The example, he will have retired by the time he is 60. So the future perfect tense is formed with will have, or a future form, future simple of the auxiliary verb have plus past participle. And when do we use it? For actions which we expect to be completed by a particular time in the future. As you see in the example, my mom will have retired by the time I graduate from university. So I expect that my mom will have retired when I graduate from university. Another example of future perfect is he will have translated all the articles by 10 o'clock. In here we have time into the future, which we expect to translate the articles. And another example is we will have known the results of the test by the end of this week. So the expected action to be fulfilled is to know the results, and the time is by the end of this week, which is a time into the future. Another example of this tense is the train will have left by the time we get to the station. In here we do not have time precise one, but the moment in which we get to the station, so with another action. And in here you have another 10 sentences in which you have to put the verbs into brackets into future perfect tense. And this is the end of our today's lesson. Thanks very much for watching, and I expect your homework to be sent to the Edmodo platform or to my email on the screen. And as you all know, goodbye for today till our next lesson.